As I sat in class, listening to Miss Spillers talk about the marriage project, I wondered, who could I interview? I was pondering, searching my mind for any married couples I knew. And just like that, it hit me.
I could interview my own parents.
Now, I needed to find a time to interview them. I caught them and popped the question. And they said yes.
Okay. Don't shake your hands like that. You look weird.
You can look at the camera a little bit.
I agree to consent. Brian Ross, BrianRoss.
To start off, what's your guys' name and how long have you been married?
Brian and Tracy Ross. 27 years this year. May 27th, 1995.
Wow.
That could be right.
All right, we're going to jump right in with a strong question. What do you think has been your greatest struggle in your marriage so far?
I would have to say communication. Because it's constantly changing. So you say something, but it's misinterpreted. And then it kind of goes back and forth, and you try to reiterate it, or you maybe defend it. And so I think it's miscommunication and communication.
I would agree with that. I would also add finances, because I think that's been some of our, probably not recently, but early in our marriage for a lot of years, because we didn't see eye to eye on how to handle them.
Which requires communication.
Right. Which ultimately goes back to communication. Yes, agreed.
So you think your struggles have changed over the course of your marriage?
Oh, of course, for sure. The stress of kids, different stressors in life, different jobs, when he's gone or home, when he was in the Marine Corps and he was gone a lot. Yeah, I'd say for sure stressors change throughout the course. You get along really well, and then your teenager starts acting like a total tool.
Let's edit that piece out. Next question.
So my next question is, what is your guys' favorite trait of each other?
That your mom brings out the best in everybody, myself included. She's very extroverted, she's gregarious, she cares about people, she really likes to share herself with other people, and that's one of the things that I was most attracted to early on.
And I think mine is safety. That regardless the situation, I know we are all taken care of. Doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about making sure a bill is paid. I don't have to worry about if there's gas in my car. I don't have to worry about if the dishes are done. Because if I don't get to it or do it, I know it's going to be done. But it's always going to be done with a level of integrity and morality that never falters. I never have to worry that something might not be, he wouldn't have done that the way I would say he should do it, because he's always going to do it the right way. And his ability to forgive anybody. Even though he has been hurt or he has been treated unfairly, he never reciprocates that behavior.
Well, since you did too, I'm going to say the second one. And since it's Mother's Day, how motherly she is, and she takes care of the kids.
All mothers take care of the kids.
When I was gone.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
How did you know that your spouse was the one you wanted to spend the rest of your life with?
I absolutely didn't. Absolutely didn't. I thought he was awesome. Mm-hmm. I was in love with him. He asked me to marry him and move to California. And I was like, it's kind of a big deal. What if it doesn't work out?
Right.
I jumped in. I just jumped in with blind faith.
You think it worked out?
It's still debatable.
Still working on that. I think I did. I think I was much more in love with your mom than she was with me initially on. She was Catholic. We saw the world in the same way. She was adventurous. She brought out the best in me. I was like, it's going to be tough to really find somebody better than this. Aww. And so, took the chance.
Cute. So cute. This kind of goes back to what you were saying. Did either of you have any worries about marrying each other? Obviously, you already expressed that you...
Yeah, I did. I didn't know anything about the Marine Corps. My dad actually said I will be an awful military spouse. I had no idea what to expect. Did I have worries? Of course. We didn't live together beforehand. And so what if now living with this person, I don't really like him all that much? What if I'm spending 24 hours a day with him and then I'm like, I get sick of him? Then what are you going to do? So yes, I had worries.
By not jumping into getting married and then living together after marriage, I think we were forced to work those things out.
Did you have any worries?
Yeah, I think Mom wasn't too excited about kids early on. She kind of grew into that. You know, we certainly our vows committed, you know, to have children. But I think your mom was like,
I was loving my life.
Not like day one. You know, like let's
just
life. Make sure that we
loving just having me to take care of.
I like that about living together, because actually trial marriage is a sin against marriage. We're learning about that in theology right now.
And statistically, if you do live together prior to marriage, you're statistically more apt to break up.
Anyway, what is one piece of advice you would give to newly married couples, since you guys have been together for so long?
Learn how to listen. As I said, it's all communication. You got to be able to listen and hear. There's a difference between listening and hearing. And sometimes you nod your head and you're like, okay, I'm listening to you, but you're not really hearing what the person's saying. And so when it comes to your spouse, you want to make sure that you hear what she has to say.
There's a lot of things that are out there as far as advice. Don't ever go to bed angry. I think that's ridiculous. Go to bed, sleep it off. You'll feel better in the morning. Never let the sun set on an angry word. Maybe for some people that's a good bit of advice, but that never worked for us, because I feel better in the light of day. I tend to not do well if I'm tired. So a lot of times I can handle things better when I'm not tired. But my bit of advice would be to compromise roles and responsibilities, I think.
Marriage isn't 50-50.
No.
Marriage is 100-100.
Oh.
Wouldn't you say? You're not bringing half of yourself into the marriage.
Yeah.
You're bringing all of yourself into the marriage, right? You're not doing 50-50, you make 100. You're bringing 100-100.
Yeah.
I guess you're making 200. But the idea is you're giving all of yourself to the other person.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Purchase Tide products today. It'll keep your clothes shiny clean.
Okay.
I'll pretend to drink out of it.
Do you want some tea?
On the next. All right, jumping right back in with the interview. We're here with Brian and Tracy. Again, how do you think that your marriage has lasted so long?
Because we made a commitment. Believe that our marriage is a covenant made before God that is not dissolvable.
Marriages struggle, but I think at the end of it, we loved each other.
There's never a, well, if you don't do it the way I want it to be done, we're going to get divorced. It was never going to be I'm leaving you.
Do you think that's because of the Catholic faith and
Very
just
much
because
so.
you made those vows?
Yeah, when it comes to our faith, the idea is there's three people in the marriage, God and the spouse, or the two spouses, right? And so you've made, like Mom said, you've made a covenant.
A triple braided cord is not easily broken.
Yeah, you made a covenant with God, and covenants should not be broken.
Fun little question. How different is your spouse from the person that you dreamed of marrying?
See, that's an easy one for me. I nailed it. That's exactly who I wanted to marry. That's no lie. That's true.
I don't remember having an idea in my head of who I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I dated probably not as good of people as your dad, and they always had long hair. Kind of thought, longer hair, and I never in a million years dreamed that I would move all over the world.
Get into the spicy questions. What is one thing about your spouse that annoys you, that you just can't stand?
His perfection, unattainable goodness at all times. I'm sorry, am I kidding?
Yeah, just needed one. Just needed one. Thanks.
I'm getting a little heat.
Your mom has a tendency to get angry from time to time, and it lasts for a few days.
That's annoying.
Yeah, nobody wants to be angry with each other. It means when you're getting along together.
Well, okay, well, quit being so perfect, and then I won't get mad.
Stop being so mad all the time.
All right. What is one thing about your spouse that you love?
You enjoy the outdoors, because that's important to me too, and I love the fact that you're always up for a challenge. You like traveling. We have a good time when we travel. We've taken our kids all over the world. You're always up for you always have a sense of adventure.
I love when he laughs.
We're going to hold the tape until she finds something, okay?
I love how he's willing to do anything that I suggest. He'll make it happen. If I say I want to do it, he may balk at it at first, but he'll make it happen. Whatever makes me happy. That's what he always says. Whatever makes you happy.
Adorable. How did you guys incorporate God into your marriage?
Got married in the Catholic Church. We did the pre-marriage Cana. We sit down with the priest and you spend some time. We did a retreat together, right? Prior to look at, things that you're compatible with.
The church every Sunday.
Yep.
No matter where we were. We surrounded ourselves with Catholic friends. We would make it a point to go to Mass with them and usually go out for breakfast. I wanted to teach Sunday school. And
I feel like we have done, prayers as a family, but not as much as we should have. It's one of the big regrets. I feel like we should have read more of the Bible and prayed more together as a family than we did. Mm-hmm. Give me a second. I'm going to the actors' lounge here to have some things. The green room. I'm in the green room. Thank you for the refresh on the cup.
How do you think your marriage would be different if you weren't connected to the Catholic faith?
I'm not sure we'd still be married.
I think
There's a possibility.
I think what Mom's point is, and which is true, is I think if you don't have faith in your marriage, specifically the Catholic faith, which emphasizes that it's a covenant and you should stay together through thick and thin.
And forgiveness.
Grace. It also encourages you to have the commitment for life. And so you begin to realize that once you have that commitment, and then there's the faith connection to it where you're learning all the virtues and the values and stuff, that, you're going to struggle, you're going to argue, you're going to fight, you're going to have disagreements, you're going to want to go your own separate ways. But if you really think about the other person, where they are from, what they're doing, what's going on in their life, and how you can serve that other person and they can serve you, then it kind of forces you back together again.
Thinking in a less Catholic manner, like what society, if you have like rocky times in your relationship, you think that what they would say is just, break it off. You don't need to keep going with that, but you think because of the Catholic faith, it's not an option to break it off. Let's see how we can fix it.
You truly believe your vows and you truly believe what you've gotten into, to commit to it. You learn to come back to the relationship and to work on the relationship and try to build each other up.
How do you guys feel like your personalities or the way that you react to things have changed since you've been married?
I've tried to become more understanding and sympathetic, whereas I think in the past, why are you laughing?
Sorry, no, I just coughed.
Instead of getting defensive and taking it personally and lashing out and creating, causing this argument to try to be bigger, my personality has changed, or at least I'm trying to make it change, that I'm more understanding, and it goes back to that hearing of what is it she's asking me and telling me.
Being around him and his job more, I have learned I think I've mellowed a little bit as far as my anger goes, because I've learned from him just by watching him more. I think just as you age, we're less fun maybe than we were. We're less carefree.
We had an awesome date last night.
We did have an awesome date, but we're not as carefree fun at all times.
We're more cautious.
Do you think your spouse has affected the way that you see the world?
I think for me, I'm a natural introvert, right? I'm not one that finds strength in large gatherings of people and, talking and communicating and stuff.
That's how I am too.
But your mom, as a natural extrovert, kind of complements that. And what I've been able to look at and appreciate about her is that's how she is, how I've tried to incorporate some of those things into my own personality, kind of bring myself out of the shell.
And on the flip side, I have realized that I don't have to be center of attention, that I don't have to be surrounded by 50 people. I don't have to have a ton of friends. That sometimes just our family and our couple time should be enough.
How would you describe the word love in relation to your marriage?
For me, it is constantly thinking of what I can do to make his life easier. Can I make sure there's dinner available, make sure he has a lunch, make sure his laundry is done, like little things that I can do that make his life a little bit easier.
I think just giving to you, giving to each other, giving to the relationship, this idea of serving others, love, you want the best for the other.
Food is kind of my love language. That's how I let you guys know I love you.
Rocky points in your marriage, you have an argument, you have a struggle, you're not talking. What is one thing that you know that you can do to fix it?
I can tell you that when I am in a mood and I know a fight is brewing, I can almost feel Satan egging me on. I can feel it. I know when, because I can have that devil and angel on a shoulder. The devil saying to me, forget him. He's not, he's not treating you the way you should be treated. You deserve better than that. And then the angel saying, you don't deserve anything. You are here to serve others. You should be more understanding. Follow a certain pattern in a female's life more so than in a man's life. There's a possibility that it could.
No comment. For me, it goes back to trying to become more understanding and not be so defensive. Because I think when I get defensive, that's when Satan comes out over here.
Did you just point? I'm not Satan.
I pointed right here.
I'm not Satan. All I'm saying is that I know that Satan works
right
in my. But you know what counteracts that is family dinners, conversations, together time. Time that you spend together counteracts those bad things, I think. The fracturing of the family. It's constantly work to make sure that the family stays as a unit.
And forgiveness. When you do have those arguments, if you internalize things and you start to go to your own separate corners, and there isn't that forgiveness that should happen, that's when people, I think, to start to just kind of migrate outwards, right? And then at a certain point, you're so far away from one another that you don't ever want to come back.
You can't dredge up the past hurts.
No.
Do you think that marriage is hard?
Yes.
Yes.
But worth it.
Thank you both for your time. It's very nice.
Thank you. Oh.
Now that I had gathered my information, I knew exactly what I had learned. Now, what did I learn from this experience? Well, I learned a lot of things. Like, marriage requires a lot of communication. You have to be very open with your spouse about problems that you have and differences that you see. And that marriage is really difficult. And it's going to be a struggle, but it's always worth it. You also have to be really open with your spouse about the things that you like about them, because everyone requires praise. And in marriage, it's really beneficial and important to have God in your marriage and to have the 3 triple-braided cord: God, the spouse, and you. And if you want to make sure that your marriage lasts, remember that it's a covenant between your spouse, yourself, and God. And covenants usually can't be broken. So if you look at it through a Catholic standpoint and you realize that divorce really isn't an option, but instead you need to fix your problems and realize what you're doing wrong, that's what will make your marriage last. And the last thing is that you have to make sure that you see what you're doing wrong and not only see what your partner is doing wrong. Overall, I learned a lot from this project, and it was really nice to talk to my parents about their marriage and how it's going, and learn about our family's dynamic.